Hello, this is going to be a quick video, but I wanted to go over my general process and approach when I'm building an app using AI. I wanted to go over this because I talk with a lot of people about creating stuff, and I think at this point, after a few weeks of playing around, I think I have a pretty good flow, so I want to go over it today. And I'm not going to show any screens, unfortunately, just follow along with what I'm saying. I'll leave links in the description. No affiliates, this is just exactly what I do. The first thing is I talk about my idea with Claude. Claude AI, Anthropic by Claude. I talk about the idea. I will literally press the microphone button on Claude on my phone or on my iPad or something, and I'll just talk. I'll say, hey, this is my idea. I want to create a CRM for my affiliate company. I wanted to have the ability to look up deals by basically natural language. I want to be able to validate the extra deals. I want to be able to track the spending. I want it all under a central dashboard view. But further than that, I don't know what I want. So please, I always add this part, as a professional, as a senior software developer, and as a senior UI person, I want you to help me develop this idea. Be extremely opinionated with your responses. And this is important because I don't like to make decisions when it comes to this stuff. I don't like to make decisions about the tech stack. I don't like to make decisions about anything. So I always tell the AI to be opinionated. And this is a really cool thing. So I give it a prompt like that. It'll give me something. And then based on that, we'll develop it further. At the very end of whatever we end up with, and by the way, while you're developing this, look up some of the stuff. Look up if it recommends Redis, R-E-D-I-S for caching. What is caching? What is Redis? Are there any other things that other people use for Redis? What do people recommend on the internet? So you can also ask Claude, hey, you recommended Redis. Why did you recommend Redis? Is there any other thing that you would recommend? Can you list all the possibilities and why you chose Redis? Be opinionated, and then it'll, so you can search out stuff yourself. You can also tell it to Claude. Anyway, at the end, when you're finished with your thing, you have a plan, it looks cool, you're excited. You should tell Claude, give me a summary of my idea in a paragraph. Give me all of the key features, give me the tech stack, and give me the phases of implementation. I'm giving this to my AI developer to make, so please be detailed and include the reasons why we're doing everything, and put it in a markdown file. And that's key. So basically, it'll output all of the things that you talked about in a markdown file, and you basically can download the file. And at this point, this is where it gets kind of fun. You go into something like Cursor AI. This is an IDE that's with it actually has Claude built in. We won't get in too deep, but basically, Cursor AI has Claude built in. So what you want to do is you go to Cursor, you open it up. It'll say it'll have this screen that says Open Folder. You open a folder, create a new folder for your project. Go inside. There'll be a little spot somewhere on the screen. Figure it out where you can add a new file, or you don't even have to add a new file. You can just go to your downloads and drag that .md file into your project. From here, you're going to open up Cursor Composer. If you don't know what that is, look up the basic tutorial on how to use Cursor. You open up Cursor Composer, and sometimes Cursor will automatically recognize that you added a new file. Sometimes it won't. So if it doesn't, so the way to check that, what you should do is you should put the @ symbol and then start typing the name of your file. It should come up immediately to click. If it doesn't come up immediately to click, just X out of Cursor, go to, I think it's like File, Open, and just open up the folder again, and then if you do the @ it will appear then 100%. You want to click that at and you want to say, I'm building a CRM. I want you to help me build it. Follow the instructions in the file. I want phase 1 to be completed and ready for testing. And then you click enter. And then Cursor Composer will go through the beginning and create a first draft of your project. Now, the things to watch out for. The one thing to watch out for is an over-ambitious start. Okay, that's the number one thing. If you're building something in Python, you're probably fine. If you're building a web app using React, what you should do, and this is something you will get with experience, because you'll try to build something and then it won't work. If you're building something with React is a coding language. If it recommends you build something with Next.js, React, Vite, I don't know, one of these front-end web development things, then you should go to that website and create a boilerplate of the app. And I know we're getting a little bit deep. You're like, what is a boilerplate? And this is where like you have to learn a little bit in order to do this. You have to learn a little bit, okay? Just a tiny bit. A boilerplate is basically a blank version of a website using whatever language that you chose. It's just a blank version. And every one of these websites, every one of these frameworks, these front-end frameworks, like React or like Next.js, which these are like the two most popular ones, they all have these commands that you can just type in to your terminal and start and create like a blank version of the project. If you go to their websites, they all have a pretty clear instructions on how to do it. If you've never worked in the terminal before, or if you've never worked in the Cursor terminal before, again, look up the basic, you need like these basic things. Like you need to know what the terminal is, you need to know how to just type a command in and so on. So my recommendation, if you're going Python, you can just attack that motherfucker. If you're going for a React web app, you should get the boilerplate inside of Cursor before you do anything, and then afterwards you can say, hey, I have this file, I'm creating this web app, I have the boilerplate, I already created the basic version, please modify it to create my project. And then again, Composer will do its magic and get in its bag. That's the basic process of going back and forth. I've made the mistake so many times of just letting the Cursor Composer create the React app on its own. It will always fail and it will always have so many mistakes and it will always be complete bullshit. If you start with the boilerplate, you have a chance at success. You have a chance at winning. If you don't, you will fail. And I think that with basically all the web apps, if there is a boilerplate, you should start with that. If it's something else that's basic, if you're writing something in Node, like a back-end thing, like an API, or you're doing like just a Python script that automates something or does something, you're fine. Just to go ahead and run. Other than that, I wish you good coding. I guess the only other thing I'll add is that, and this is something to play around with, I do recommend, there's a few recommendations. If you have a web app, you should be using ShadCN, ShadCN UI, okay? UI stands for user experience. You should be using ShadCN components. This is, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to just type in ShadCN, ShadCN on Google, and you'll see this guy's website. This guy has basically made a template for every single thing that you could want. He's made a template for it. So basically your program, like the coder, it doesn't have to create anything from scratch. Basically all it has to do is take all of the components, all of the puzzle pieces from ShadCN and put it in your React web app. And I don't know, I feel like it's beginner, but it's not. I think if I was just listening to it from scratch, it would suck ass. I don't know. But and I don't have a script. I'm just kind of going on my head, and it's probably pretty apparent. But yeah, for if you have a React web app, if you have a Next.js and Next.js is it's coding language, whatever. It's a front end framework. React is a front end framework. These are like the most popular ones. If you use these, you should be using shadcn components. If you and if you go to Shad's website, he has his own instruction manual that you can basically install the boilerplate for his components and for the React. And I'll probably have a tutorial coming up just for how I would go about creating something. I'm just now finishing my second React app, and I'm pretty proud of it. This thing is fucking crazy. It's really fucking cool. But this one is working because I started with the boilerplate. If I didn't start with the boilerplate, I would be dead and I would be crying, as I have been for many weeks before this. If you see any of my old videos, you'll see some stuff. Yeah, that's my general process. Talk through the idea with Claude. If you end up with talk through the idea with Claude, get the full idea out there in a .md file. If it's using Python or something, you can just go ahead and ask Cursor to make it. If it's a web app that uses front end with React, all this stuff, I recommend using go to shadcn's website, follow the instructions to install his boilerplate, his default. I think it's under getting started. That is it. What about ChatGPT? You can use ChatGPT. For me, I go back and forth. I prefer Claude overall. That being said, if you want, one thing I have done before is I'll start, and I pay for both, right? But you don't have to. I'll start with ChatGPT, the 01 preview, because it has access to the internet. And then I'll go from there and I'll get the framework and the general plan, the opinionated plan from ChatGPT. I won't get the finished opinionated plan. I'll just get all the potential options, and because it'll do good about giving like a giant thing. And then I'll take that and I'll take it into Claude, and I'll say, hey, you're an opinionated web dev, and you're a business guy. Be really critical, be seriously opinionated, look through this plan, look through what I'm trying to do, and help me come up with something. So that's another method that I have gone through. And I go back and forth about whether I start with OpenAI or whether OpenAI is ChatGPT, or whether I go with Anthropic and Claude to start. It really goes back and forth. It really goes back and forth. Other than that, it's really cool. I started trying to learn some coding principles. The thing about all of this is it's truly not coding, and it's truly a different skill set. It really is, and somebody's mentioned this before. It's a different thing. You can call it truly the people who understand how to do this. You're able to, and I don't know how long it's gonna be before. You're literally a code manipulator. You're not a developer. You can mold this thing in order to do what you want it to do. And in this process of doing that, you understand some things about React, about some of the, you understand what a CLI is, command line interface. You understand what a terminal is. You understand npm run dev, how to start these programs. You understand how to end these programs. You understand what Docker is and how to start Docker and how to end Docker. You'll learn how to deploy apps. How do you get the app actually from you just made it, how do you get it onto the internet? So you learn how to get it from wherever it is onto the actual internet. You learn the difference between the different coding languages. What are they used for? You'll learn about different libraries, and so there's a lot of things that you learn of their existence, and you learn what they're used for. But if somebody left you alone in the room, you would never be able to type any of this bullshit out. But if you know what each of these things are going to be used for, then you can utilize them. And really important, and this is just comes with time, you'll be able to critique the AI when it gives you something and you know that it's a little bit wrong or it's bullshit. There's times where, like even for this project right here, I was asking like, okay, I have the CRM, I want it to load faster. One of the things that you can do to have things load faster, it's called caching, which basically means that it saves the data like for a little bit of time, like an hour or 2 hours. It'll save the data from the database for an hour, 1 to 2 hours. But one of the things that it suggested was that I create a whole different database and have like stuff in there. And so I have like one database that I have, the center of truth, then I have the caching, and then I have another database that I asked I said, do we need the extra database? Because what do you recommend that? And then the AI, it's funny, it's like a little bit annoying, right? It'll say, oh yeah, you're right. Now that I think about it, this extra database is overkill. Like we don't need that for now. We could just use the caching. So it's like stuff like that. You need to, and you don't need it to start. You just need to start making shit, and you'll start to figure out these little things. And you can't be exhaustive. You just have to try. But you'll just start learning these little things, because again, the AI will tell you, it'll be super. It'll tell you it'll give you the fucking world. It'll give you everything. And sometimes you gotta like scale it back and be like, man, do we need all of this? And by the way, those are some of the tools that you can use when you're talking with the Claude, when you're talking with him at the beginning. He'll give you the full plan, and then maybe at the very end when he gives you the full plan, you say, hey, like look over this again. You're a senior businessman. I just want to make sure, are you okay with your work? Are you proud of your work? Is there anything that is unnecessary? Is there anything that we could add to improve? And it'll go through and just add check marks and it'll like validate its own thing and use its own reasoning against itself. And then you can do that a couple times, and then you're off to the races. So that's basically all the tools that I'm using right now. And like I said, I'm super. I don't want to jinx myself, but this fucking web app is fucking insane. And I can't. I wish I could show you stuff. I don't know. Maybe I'll for one of the other companies where the data is like less proprietary. Because I'll be remaking this since I already made it once. I'll remake it again, and I'll remake it for the other company, and that data is less like proprietary. So I'll show like some of the process of how I'm going about making these things, and so happy creating. Good luck. Obviously comment down below. I respond to basically every comment, and I'll be uploading more like tutorials, real tutorials in the future. Cheers.